What's up, YouTube? Timu's here. Now, here is my throwback segment where I talk about the films that turns 10, 20, and 30 this week. Alright, the films celebrating their 10th anniversary. We got maybe the best anime film of that year, the Lego Movie. Now, I remember when this was first announced, it felt a little weird that they were going to do a movie about these plastic building blocks, but I adore this film. Definitely one of the best anime films of that year. I love the voice talents from Chris Pratt to Will Ferrell to Morgan Freeman, Liam Neeson. I love the animation world they put out. How does this not get an Oscar nomination for best anime feature is beyond me. But hey, at least you got best original song nomination. I mean, so everything is awesome, I guess. But yeah, the Lego Movie is still an excellent one. I adored it. The second one is actually good too. Not maybe a step down from the first one, but I still enjoyed it. And the Batman one is great as well. The weakest I will say is in the Jago film, but even that was actually not so bad. So, all right, now also turning 10, we got the George Clooney film, The Monuments Man. Now, this stars the likes of George Clooney, Matt Damon, John Goodman, Bill Murray, Kate Blanchett, and follows an allied group from the Monuments Fine Arts, and the achieves programs that give him the task of finding and saving pieces of art and other culturally important items before Nazis destroys and steals them under World War II. Now, I also love George Clooney, definitely one of the best actors. And he's directed some good stuff too, like Confession of a Dangerous Mind, Good Night, Good Luck. Most recent, The Boy in the Boat was pretty good. But not every movie he's directed was the best. And Monuments Man, this was terrible. I remember when this was coming out, I literally thought this definitely had Oscars written all over it. But it was a dumpster fire. It was completely boring. I didn't really connect with any of the characters. I really wanted to like this one too, but yeah, it just really didn't do anything for me. It's a shame too because I like the talents involved, from George Clooney to John Goodman and all, but yeah, this movie did not really do anything for me. All right, also turning 10, we got Vampire Academy, which is of course based on a very popular YA book, which of course got turned into a TV show that I can. Now, the film stars an ensemble cast that includes Zoe Deutsch as Rose Hathaway, as well as Lucy Fry as Rose, and Lucy as Lisa here, and her moral best friend, and follows their return to St. Valentine's Academy boarding school after being on a run for a year. And of course, it's pretty much academy full of vampires. Now, you had some cool cast members in this. Like you had Sarah Hyland, Cameron Monaghan, so some really decent supporting players. And this, I'm not gonna lie, I did not mind Vampire Academy. Like, it definitely had some fun elements to it. I like, I adore me some Zoe Deutsch. She's always terrific. You also had some other cool supporting players too. So yeah, it's not that one. I mean, this was released by the Weinstein Company. Yes, there's that. But still, it's not a bad one. I mean, not like the best out of the YA adaptation or anything. I mean, I feel like they were trying to set this thing up to become the next Twilight, the next YA adaptation craze, but didn't really go so well. So it is what it is, I guess. All right, films turning 20. We got Barbershop 2 back in business. Of course, the follow-up to 2002's Barbershop. Nowhere near as good as the first film. Probably I still prefer the third one a little more, but it wasn't a bad sequel here. Of course, this time around you got Ice Cube back as Chicago barbershop owner Calvin Palmer Jr., where his employees Isaac, played by Troy Garrity, Terry, played by Eve, Ricky, played by Mike Ely, Danica, played by Leonard Earl Harris, and cannot have their own personal workplace problems, and a new barbershop called Nappy Cutsier has just moved across the street, and so of course you got Calvin who tries to change the character of his business here. And yeah, you also had like Queen Latifah, who will also go on to have a spin off her own, which was that not so good beauty shop. You also had a very young Kiki Palmer. Keena Thompson was even in this. Some really cool supporting players like Anthony Anderson, and not a bad follow up, just not as good as the first one, or even the third one. I adore that third Barbershop. Now there is still talks about like a new Barbershop down the line that Amazon MGM might do. So we might be getting to more barbershops down the line. So all right, now also turning 20, we got Catch That Kid. Now, this was, of course, a Disney based film that was directed by Bert Fruitowitz, who's actually married to Julianne Moore. And he also got Max Triot, who you might remember from the Pacifier fame, Corbin Blue from, of course, from High School Musical fame, and speaking of Twilight, a very young Kristen Stewart. Um, and it's actually a remake of a 2002 film, and the story tells it tells the story of these three kids who rob a bank to obtain the money to pay for expensive and experimental surgery needed for the father of one of them when the insurance company and the bank president won't help his wife here. And it's a really fun early 2000s Disney based film. Kristen Stewart, who of course also go on to be a bigger star here. Yeah, this was definitely one of like her earliest films. Of course, she had a big break with stuff like with Panic Room and all. And I thought she was pretty solid in this. Her chemistry with Max was pretty good. Like Max Tra has done stuff lately. Like he was on that SEAL Team show, which I haven't really watched to be honest yet, but I heard good things about him on that. Uh, but I did quite like him on Base Motel. He played like the older brother of Freddie Highmore's Norman Bates. He was really good on that show. He was pretty solid in this one. Corbin Blue, obviously, this was before High School Musical fame kicked in. He was pretty good in this, so not a bad flag. Oh, speaking of Corbin Blue, another thing that actually turns 10 that I kind of wanted to should mention was a movie called Nurse 3D, which is I remember watching that one. There's a very fun 3D nurse film. If you guys haven't seen that, they actually had Corbin Blue, and I just wanted to put a plug there for a second. All right. I don't know, maybe this October when I do my reviews for horror films, I might actually may do a review for Nurse 3D because I remember watching that one and there's anyway. Oh, also turning 20, we got the hockey film Miracle, directed by Gavin O'Connor, who also gave us some really good stuff like Warrior. He also did The Accountant. This, of course, stars the likes of Kurt Russell. And if you guys don't know much about the story here, it is a sports film about the U.S. men's hockey team, led by like head coach Herb Brooks, played by Kurt Russell, who won like the gold medal in the 1980 Winter Olympics, and the American team's victory over the heavily favored Soviet professionals in the medal round was dubbed like the Miracle on Ice here. And like I said, this was a really good one. Definitely, like early 2000s was we don't really get sport movies like we had back in the 2000s or 90s anymore. America was definitely a really terrific one. Definitely one of the top tier hockey films out there. Really entertaining, very inspirational. Kurt Russell was great in this. Very good flick here. Another film that turns 20. Oh boy. We got The Dreamers. Now, this was directed by famed Italian director Bernardo Bertolucci, who you might know directed movies like the Oscar-winning film The Last Emperor, the very controversial The Last Tango in Paris, and the Liv Tyler movie Stealing Beauty. Now, this actually was the movie that really put Eva Green on the map, who, of course, go on to do like appear in Miss Peregrine's Home for Particular Children, Dark Shadows. What else was she in? Penny Dreadful she was in. Now, this also starred Michael Pitt, who I always thought could have been poised to become the next Leo DiCaprio, but he like Michael Pitt has been in stuff here and there. Let me see. let me post some of Michael Pitt's credits. Michael Pitt's movies and TV shows. Like Michael Pitt's been in stuff like Boardwalk Empire. He was just in that terrible Reptile movie with Justin Timberlake. Funny Games, I Origin. I always thought like he was also in the movie Rob the Mom as well. I always thought he was really poised to become the next big thing, but he only just does stuff here or there. But okay, now if you don't know anything about the Dreamers, let's just say this movie is risque. It's based on a 1988 novel here called The Holy Innocents, and it tells the story of an American university student in Paris who, after meeting a particular brother and sister who are fellow film enthusiasts, becomes entangled in an erotic triangle and is set against the backdrop of the 1968 Paris student riots. So, yeah, and if you want to see a lot of Eva Green, like if you have a crush on Eva Green and you want to see a lot of her, The Dreamers, you'll definitely see a lot of her. I'm not going to give any details, but you know, it also has that this French actor named Louis Garrel, I think his name is. He was also in this. Not a bad little film though. Very like, but when this movie wants to bring on the filthy, it knows how to bring on the filthy, and this one, shows it. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, really decent little scenario film here. So here we go. If you guys haven't watched it. Now, turning dirty, we got the Jim Carrey classic Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Now, 1994 was like a prominent year for Jim Carrey. You know, he of course obviously did Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, and The Mask all in the same year. That was like pretty much his like Jim Carrey peak right there. Now you also had like Courtney Cox, who was also at the time, you know, in a very hit show, which was Friends. Um, now it stars Jim Carrey as Ace Ventura, an animal detective who is tasked with finding the abducted dolphin mascot of the Miami Dolphin team. And I really love Ace Ventura. You know, the sequel, not so much. They also thought it was a good idea to, you know, do like a Son of a Mask level sequel, which was Pet Detective, like Ace Ventura Pet Junior or something like that, where it did not have Jim Carrey in it. That was abysmal. I mean, it shows with that and Son of a Mask, it shows that if you do a sequel without Jim Carrey, it's not going to work. So maybe that's why they won. Maybe that's why Sonic the Hedgehog 3 wanted to bring back Jim Carrey. Because if you do a follow that doesn't have Jim Carrey in it, you might get a Son of a Mask. So maybe that's kind of why Jim Carrey's coming back for the sequel. I don't know. But yeah, Ace Ventura is still a great one. You know, Jim Carrey definitely was. This is classic Jim Carrey. You know, if you ever want to see a guy coming out from an elephant behind, yeah, this is one. I mean, this was PG-13, and I always found it odd that it was PG-13. There was like lots of risky stuff in this, but it's still a pretty fun one nonetheless. Jim Carrey. It's classic Jim Carrey. I mean, he's been talking about possible coming back to Ace Ventura, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But all right, also trending dirty. We got the film. I'll do anything. Directed, which is of course directed by James L. Brooks, and stars the likes of Albert Brooks, not really by the way, Nick Nolte, Jolie Richardson, Julie Carpenter, aka Marge from The Simpsons, Tracy Ullman, and H. Woody Harrelson. Now, if you guys don't know much about the story here, it also the film skewers relationship for various angles. It primarily plots concern a down on his luck actor who suddenly finds himself the sole caretaker of his 6-year-old daughter. And it's actually not. It's not like James Earl Brooks' best work or anything like that. Obviously, he's done stuff like Spanglish, Terms of Endearment. Um, but that aside, I still thought James L. Brooks did a great job with this. Nick Nolte was great. Albert Brooks was terrific in this. Really nice little film if you guys haven't seen that. Oh yeah, you also had like Rosie O'Donnell and Ian McKellen was also in this. Some good cast members there. Also trending there, we got Romeo is Bleeding. It follows a cat and mouse game between a corrupt cop, played by Gary Oldman, and a ruthless mob assassin, played by Lena Olin, who begins to unravel uh, his carefully constructed double life. And the film title was taken out of a song by Tom Waits here. And Romeo is Bling is a really cool little thriller from the 90s. Of course, Gary Oldman, at the time was becoming very popular. At the time he was like in the that Dracula movie. Gary Oldman obviously was coming into prominence, and this was a really not his best work or anything, but he did a really good job with this. Lena Olin was also in this. Roy Scheider was also here. You had Juliette Lewis, some really cool supporting players as well. We don't really get these type of erotic thrillers anymore. We don't really get like the 9.5 week stuff or Fair Attraction stuff anymore. And this is a really decent one here. We guys have seen? There we go. But that's pretty much it there. Let me leave you guys. Which of these films stand out to you the most? To me, the 10-year one, obviously, is a Lego movie. The 20-year, I'm actually going to go with The Dreamers. That's actually my favorite film on that list. It's a weird film, but not a bad flick there. And the 30-year one is obviously Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Anyway, drop comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell for notification. This is Henry signing off.